and welcome back to the Glimmer Hunters podcast. Today we're picking up right where we left off, speaking with neuroscientist and author Professor Selena Bartlett. If you haven't yet had a chance to listen to part 1 of our conversation with Selena, then best head on over now to episode 9. Otherwise, let's dive back in.
When you say the nervous system and it's connected to all our cells, is it like an electric current or is it like little tiny strands of stuff?
It's it's chemical and electrical.
Chemical.
Chemical that like every nerve ending has chemicals that, like when you hear about people getting a dopamine hit, right? That's dopamine neurotransmitter being released. When you hear about serotonin, they're chemicals released from nerve endings and also from other cells, not just nerves. So we started as chemistry and electricity and carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, but other things, and so that's the baseline of genetics, right? So we have a blueprint, and our environment shapes our blueprint. So we're born with a set of genes, right? That was discovered and how those genes form. We understand. We can sequence every cell in your body. We understand it deeply. We can see inside your brain now, and we can also sequence every cell in your brain as well. And the Paul Allen Institute is mapping every single circuit in the brain as well. But then there's this other thing which is the mind, which is the next layer. And we don't understand any of that completely, but we have an understanding of it. And there's a lot more research happening now in near-death experiences and lucid dying, because with CPR, we're being able to bring back people from dying much more than ever in history, because that was only invented 50 years ago. And so there's more people coming back describing these near-death experiences, and it's a lot of research in that space showing what's happening in those spaces. So people dying and going to other experiences and coming back to relay their stories, and they're verifiable near-death experiences. So that's a whole other area. So that goes to the outside in again, right? So Michael Levin's work is showing that there's also a blueprint that exists outside of the cell. So like, why does our hand have this shape, right? Why do leaves in trees have a shape, and why do they reform? Like a vine grows so quickly, and it's like so fast. It's called morphogenesis. And so he's been able to create the scientific conditions where you can actually visualize it using fluorophores. And he could actually map some of these handprints in these more primitive species. And it's a whole area of new research unfolding scientifically, but also from neuroscience. I interviewed Joy Hirsch on my podcast, and she spent COVID working out how to measure the patterns or activities in each other's brain when we come together face to face rather than on Zoom. And so there's a very different pattern. And also, this is where the whole area of parental neuroscience is coming in, showing the direct impact we have on young people as adults and things like that. So it's very exciting. I think that's the game changer. And that's why people are always seeking community, why they love going to retreats and all sorts of things. And they come back feeling good for a few days to a month, right? Because of that community experience and actually being with people that are like-minded in some sense, or feeling like you found a tribe that gets you a bit. There's so much to that, right? That people are seeking now.
100%. And I think because we seem to be lacking community so much in our lifestyle and our culture these days, I think, we always talk about the village that it takes to raise a family, but, so many of us are doing it on our own. And I think even from my own personal experience, it's something that I really I crave and feel like, lacking in that area. So,
and you're not alone. It's like little birds in a nest. There's so many people crying out for this, but they don't know what to do because it seems like too big a problem. But I say it's not. Nothing's a problem once you see it. You can solve it. And especially podcasting and just so many ways of us being able to bring each other together now. And it just takes action. It just takes setting up that community group, calling people in, having a dinner, honestly. Just having 5 people around to your house and saying, yes, it's going to be work, but God, it's going to be worth it. And helping people see that there's an easy way forward and that the community is crying out for it, like nothing I've ever seen. So there was this documentary we did called The Great Separation, and Joey Fry was the protagonist in this. And in that film, it's about loneliness. And the person that's a leading expert on loneliness from Melbourne, happy to introduce you to her as well. Her name's Sarah Lim. In that film, but from the filmmaking to the finish, the statistics in Australia went from 1 in 4 Australians are lonely to 1 in 3. 1 in 3 Australians are saying they're lonely in these surveys. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it is.
And we're absolutely a culture of connection compared to many others.
I think was that after COVID? Because after the great, I'm from Melbourne, after the great lockdown.
Oh yes.
And I think, and this is a straw poll of one, my opinion, is everyone thinks it's really great to work from, not everyone, a lot of people have enjoyed working from home more, less commute, all these different add-on effects, but you're disconnected. And Emily and I have worked together at 2 different businesses, like big mass businesses, and the camaraderie you have, even if it's a shitty job, actually, especially better if it's a shitty job.
Especially better, I was about to say.
Especially, ideally a shitty job with some shitty people you can gossip about. And it's just, it's so lovely. Whereas when we're sitting at home on our computers working from home, I kind of equate it to sitting in your own bathwater or sipping from your own bathwater. Like, it's a nice idea, but there's no commute, there's no lounge. Like, you're going from the lounge to the lounge.
Yeah, it's
and
a
you're not getting that community.
Use, but it's a mental health killer.
Yeah, it's a downer. We interview, like, I have a different job, obviously, I work full time, and we interview people and they want to work from home. I'm like, dude, if you want to get happy, don't come to work. Like, we can brainstorm together. We see each other face to face.
Well, so the new science, which you might love to see, I'll send you the papers, is basically demonstrating that the leverage power of brains, because of interbrain synchrony, there's a whole brain area that is only activated in face-to-face communication and group, like a group where you create the conditions of safety and security in that group, so people feel safe to criticize, they feel safe to speak up, they're not going to have one person taking over, getting all the credit, a safe environment. Then there's a particular brain area that's activated in each of those brains that you cannot get in any silent retreat, in any kind of flow, in any other way, only in that condition.
Wow. And speaking of brains, are you able to look at a brain scan and without meeting the person see if they're in good nick? And or have you met anyone that's in good brain nick? Like, is anyone, any Olympian, like brain Olympians you've come across? What are they like? What's their life like?
Well, they're doing stuff every day. So I think the best example of this, to make it relevant to the audience to picture it, is they did scanning of nuns that were praying on their beads all the time, right? And it wasn't just about that. Nuns are very active in the community. They do a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff. And they were looking at Alzheimer plaques and tangles. So there's this thing that happens if you get Alzheimer's and some forms of dementia where you get these gluey plaques and tangles in your brain, and they can measure them and see them on a brain scan. And with this particular nun study, what they were able to show is that those nuns had all the plaques and tangles, but had no signs of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Wow.
Because they had built... So think of your brain as onion layers, right? So what do we need when we're doing neuroplasticity, we're doing new things every day, we're training ourselves and all of those things, we're building peels on top of the onion, so that even if we might be having things happen, right, that we may have inherited or other things, we have more protection in place.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So alternates, like if you rupture your ACL or your back, and then the other muscles all like jimmy together to take over and help you out. Like scoliosis.
Yes. And we know this for sure for other things, right? People that lose a limb, their other brain parts fill in. So there's lots of evidence for this in many other ways, but I would say brain health and fitness looks like you know how to manage certain types. Some types of stress are really good for you because they make you do new things. They make you go out and meet new people. You can use some of that anxiety for good. So I don't see anxiety as good or bad. I just see it as something. But if it's the sort of thing that stops you from doing things, like makes you isolate because you're too afraid to meet new people, then that is having a longer term impact on your health. So brain health and fitness looks like, when I'm 60, I'm going to start learning a language. When I'm 70, I'm going to start playing the piano. Even if you do or you don't, it's the thought and the intention that you're not taking things away from your life because you've been told you're 60.
Yeah.
And or 70 or 80 or even 20. I see 20-year-olds doing that. You know what I mean? Not wanting to do the hard yards of working hard. Like someone's told them, I think that's our fault, my generation, for making snowplow parenting is what it's called, is making kids not want to see that the hard work is very rewarding. It's just long term. You know what I mean? And that's what you were saying about productivity versus having to do the commute and get dressed. Right? Yep. You're doing a long-term strategy versus a productivity strategy where you're sitting in your pajamas, not having to get dressed and not having to look on that commute and meet new people. It's all the incidental kindness too you show along the way, like smiling at the conductor or saying nice things to the barista. These are all community level small acts of kindness that really change the energy level for the whole community.
Whereas all if the little glimmers along the way,
those glimmers are huge. I think that's the thing we're missing. I think that's gone, and that was COVID that did take a lot of that away at speed, but it was also happening because of social media. So people won't even go out because they don't think they look like what they're showing on social media. Yeah, certain generation.
Yeah.
So there's I'd say multiple factors, and it will change. We go through pendulum swings, don't we? We all used to smoke in the 80s is how I look at it. We don't anymore.
Yeah. I do miss smoking, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone was doing it everywhere.
Yep.
And this generation now can't even believe that would be true. I mean, it was in hospitals. It was...
Yeah.
Aeroplanes.
Yeah. I know, the golden years. No. Thank you. You've given me so much food for thought.
So much.
Brain in a good way has exploded. The other thing, just when you're talking about that though with rigidity, do you think there's any direct link? Because if you noticed, as we get older, we become physically less flexible.
Yeah,
like
because
you can't touch your toes.
Yeah.
And is that same? Are they talking to each other?
Absolutely, because we're not moving our bodies way enough. We're physical beings, right? We're sitting a lot. The average screen time is 8 to 9 hours globally for people now, if you add up everything, and that's a lot of sedentary stuff. So the amount of exercise you actually have to do as you get older is huge. Well, because for obvious reasons, because we're naturally aging, so we've got to actually activate the motor nervous system more, not less, right?
Yep.
Because we're heading down with gravity, so we have to push up against gravity. So, we don't teach people that strength training, weight training, walking, being in nature, being out with people is really potent for your physical well-being. So you're asking me, what does brain health and fitness look like? It also looks like physical health and fitness. So the people that you see out in their 80s are still traveling the world, or you don't have to do that either. I've seen them. They're in retirement villages helping other people. They're playing the piano. They're the people in schools helping the teachers because the kids are desperately needing healthy adults. They're the grandparents that are showing up and taking kids to the park so that their parents can work. You just know these people. They're just very quiet. They're volunteering in all the hospitals, in the dialysis units, welcoming people in. They're out and about in the community. They're doing stuff. They're physically active, very physically active people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the other thing about living oldest. So the oldest person that lived to 122, what they don't talk about her, they talk about her food. She did smoke cigarettes and drink until 110, I think. One cigarette a day, so she was French. What they don't talk about is that she took up fencing in her 80s and she rode a bike until she was 110 as well. So she was, really, they don't, in these recounts, they don't talk about her neuroplasticity tools that she was using. We always look at the food and connections and physical exercise, but we don't look at the new activities that people are willing to do as they get older. I also interviewed this amazing man who has written 8 books since he was 78, and he keeps writing books, and and the oldest living, and the guy that won the 200-meter sprint started bodybuilding at 89. He was a dentist and he got sick of his decrepit old body, so he got a body trainer, and then ended up winning the 200-meter sprint at 93 for his age.
It's amazing.
You know what I mean? Like Charles, I forget his last name now. He's passed away, but it's just so, this is reality, isn't it? And you see it out and about and you wonder, why are they that way? And but you still can't beat some things. Like we have motor neuron disease, and there are some genetic factors, and I'm not glossing over the reality of cancer and chronic diseases and other things that people literally do inherit as well. So
yeah, it feels like one of your superpowers, I know we need to wrap up, but I feel like one of your superpowers is seeing reality, or seeing what's in front of you. And because I heard about a study where they had all these bunny rabbits and they're testing them for cholesterol, like groups of bunny rabbits in the lab. And then they're all eating the same thing, whatever. And then one group of bunny rabbits has the really low cholesterol, and it took them a while to work out, but they realized the lab technician taking care of this group of bunnies was nice to them and patted the bunnies, spoke to them beautifully. And so, but someone had to see that. And that's, I think, the key. Like, you can come with the best of intentions, but if you can't see what's in front of you, or look sideways even.
Yeah, having an open mind and remaining curious. I'd say if you want to have a glimmer idea to spring out of all of this conversation, is curiosity and an open mind. But to get there's challenging. You don't just get it. And that's what people struggle with, because they see, you guys here listening go, I can just go and do that. Tomorrow I'm going to do a panoramic view instead of looking at my phone, right? You're going to try it. You're already got a board out, right? Trying it. So you have the curiosity to do it. That's not everybody's able to do that, nor wants to do that. And that's the frustration, I guess. But it's also the compassion, where people will come to what they need to come to when they come to it, and meeting people where they are, because we don't have the whole story or the full story. And I guess that's where I've come to in my new rolling out for the rest of my life, is that understanding. And just because you can do it doesn't mean other people can or want to, and they don't have to. But we're just lighthouses, and if people want to follow, they can follow or not. And I guess the step to do that, if you don't want to change, or is just maybe one little experiment might be enough to raise your curiosity level, or anything that, if you do something simple like a panoramic view in the morning, where you just look at the panoramic view and know that you're turning down your stress system just from that, and just seeing how you feel, offers you the chance to join us.
Yeah.
For sure. I think my takeaway from our conversation as well is that we, as humans, just love to overcomplicate things and love to make things harder than they need to be in a lot of ways, especially in wellness practices.
So why do you think that is, just out of curiosity?
I just think our minds are so busy, just meaning-making machines, and want to get to want to make sense of things that we possibly can't. I'm not quite sure. I have a brain that does this myself, so I would like to know why we do this. But I'll give you a little example of something I saw recently. So my husband and I got up really early a few weeks back, and we got our 3 kids up because we wanted to take them down to the beach to watch the sunrise.
Yeah, wow.
And so we don't live too far from the beach, so it's not not a really massive undertaking for us, but something we hadn't done before at the same time. And so we get down to the beach, and there's this sort of meditation group set up to the right of us on the beach, and they'd been there for quite some time when we got there. They had these speakers set up, they had a microphone going, and I just was thinking, I was looking at this beautiful sunrise coming out of the ocean, and then all these people started playing some Katy Perry music out of these speakers, and then they did the ice bath challenges at the same time, and I was thinking, can't we just look at the sunrise? Isn't this enough? We're doing all.
It's actually more than enough.
Right. they were literally like missing out on this glorious, like, and I'm saying to the kids, if ever there was something to make you believe in magic in the world, like, look at this sun coming out of the ocean.
Yeah, that's not enough. Can we get some beats over here?
Know. And then in the background to the side of us was this like thumping bass and these people doing all these things. And I just thought, wow, this
they'll
is
be
just
running some kind of boot camp or something.
Oh, just the name
but
of it.
It just made me think, wow, we just love to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, totally. That fireball that the earth rotates around, that's not enough.
No, I think they're selling products though. They've got fitness training and they're selling stuff. I mean, that's
no doubt.
And people want to be part of those groups and feel like this is why gyms and people go to the gym and all of that. It's a group thing, isn't it? Like too.
Yeah, I guess it's complicated, but at the same time, it just made me, I don't know, it was just an interesting reflection I had while all this was happening. That,
you can't sell sitting there looking at a sunset.
Right, this is it. It's like what you were saying earlier. Yeah, and that's the thing I think we forget, like, and I guess that ties back to the Glimmers, is like these magic moments like this are around us all the time, and they don't cost anything. You know, like smiling at someone now, like having this conversation, like, they're just there. But I think you're right, because we can't sell it. People are like, that mustn't be legit or something like that. Something to that effect. Yeah.
Because that's what humans denote as value.
People want to make a living. I understand where they're coming from too, and I'm not discounting that, and people like that too. And it's fun being together in a group. But for people listening that don't want to do that or want to do something in addition to make that work even more effective, is that these little tiny practices that where you're just thinking of it, where you just literally take this and recognize that you have one of those and you just put it over here and you just go, I'm going to do 5 things for this thing today, and that's it. Like 5 reps of, practicing 5 breaths, or waking up in the morning and doing a panoramic view and not looking at my phone when I know that is going to not activate all the stress pathways in my brain. Simple strategies, but they're on repeat. It really does. That's what brain resilience is. It's a mechanism in the brain. As I said to you about the nuns, you're strengthening circuits, you're adding layers, and that's what resilience is. It's not some hypothetical set of strategies. It's literally strengthening, like toning the arm, your muscles in your arms. You're toning and strengthening your brain so it can handle the things that it needs to handle, which is quite complicated with this kind of modern world we've created. So, and the way you handle that, I think, is the thing that stops you going from trigger to reaction. You're driving a pause, and that's the smoke detector in your brain, and there's a circuit you're training. That's it. Unfortunately, it is that simple.
I mean, and so theoretically,
I'm really sorry about that, but it really is.
It's the best news ever. So theoretically, with the more strengthening, the better brain health and wellness, does that mean we're fighting back and or balancing out the negative bias the mind has as well? Like, is this a balancing?
The way the brain is built is from trauma and early life experiences. So the negative bias, whatever you've inherited, it comes from your parents and your great-parents and and millions of years of history. So that's another key factor to recognize. And that's why I like to take the brain out here and just say, yes, there's all of that over there. It's a lot. But there's also this. and it's really cool. And and you just need to do these things and then pay attention to the negative biases and all of the other early life experiences. And do you start to notice you're not paying attention to them as much? And why? Because you're creating new circuits in the brain and new ways of creating new pathways and taking a new step forward into a different direction, because you're intentfully training your brain like a muscle.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And it can get more complicated, of course, but unless we start to introduce this one little concept.
Baby steps.
I've been doing it for 14 years, and I wrote a book called Smashing Mindset to just recognize that one little fact there. But because it's so simple, people can't believe that could possibly be right. But it is a game changer once you really, really get into it. Like that Ouija board thing you're doing, big deal. That's really cool. That's really cool for changing
Got
like
you.
detector
Yeah.
in your brain, like, and giving you new things and building muscles in your brain that are different and stronger, and it's really
it's just desperation stakes, because I've always joked I live a small distance from my body, and I'm getting closer. My body and I are getting closer. But like, I will literally leave my legs crossed for so long that everything goes numb and it hurts, and still I won't move.
Too,
it's it's so the balance was good because right, and you just get so in the zone with whatever you're doing. And so I get on the balance board when I'm watching TV at night, and I just spin around on this balance board. And
it's
but
really
I'm just in the spirit of experimentation. I'm like, I'm all
Can
out
I
of
just
ideas.
tell you
So
one other thing it's doing is, like, the fine motor nerves, right, run all the way up from your feet and your hands into the motor cortex, which is up here, which is is your prefrontal cortex, and that's why you get emotional regulation, right? Because you're strengthening the motor cortex, which is a very important part of impulse control, your ability to not overreact, your ability to say no to yourself, your ability to take a long-term view rather than a short-term reward. That's addiction, basically. You're actually putting in a new set of circuitry up in that part of the brain, and that's why they talk a lot about that for ADHD, right? Because there's a lack of an expanding. You need to expand the insular cortex and those parts of the brain. So there's a direct circuit, that you're doing. It's not something. And I just think that's where the science needs to meet the practices more. Because imagine if you sat, and this is another thing where people are sitting down to do a year worth of work with somebody around, and I'm not going to name practices, but they might have been able to do that just by having a really authentic conversation with someone for 2 weeks. If you know what I'm saying. So that's why the science matters. You don't want to have people doing stuff that they shouldn't have to be doing for a really long time that's not really doing anything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've done a lot of that.
I know, I was just reflecting
but I think
well.
I think everyone does it, but it's because each journey is their own. We're all on our own journey, and we obviously met for a reason. It's just so funny you mentioned the cerebellum, because I think about I'm writing a book called Time Stamping, all about that one very topic. So
yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah, your electro pathway spoke to mine.
Yes, exactly. We called each other in, Renee.
Totally. I'm a hippie, so yeah. That's
yeah.
Like I said, it's all Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. And the more you get into it, the more it's like that.
I know, now I've got tingles. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I did too. As soon as you said that word, I just went, oh, that's why I'm doing this.
There's glimmers all around.
I know, it's lovely.
That's nice. Professor Selena, just before you go, if we could just ask one more question about this new film that you're in that's coming out, this new documentary. If you could just tell us a little bit about your involvement in the new Australian documentary scene.
Yeah, so it's been released all over Australia. I was at a screening last night. It's called Seen. I have a book called Being Seen, and it's about parenting and so there's a range of experts. There's also a range of parents that went on a transformational journey when they recognised that their behaviour was really impacting their children. And then they recognised where it come from for many generations. And so it's talking about that and taking people on that journey. It's beautifully filmed by Hayley Bartholomew. Sam Jockle is the CEO, and I'm a neuroscience person on the podcast. I'm also a parent that had to do some of the transformation herself. Mine came through scientific journey. And it's called Seen because I wrote a book called Being Seen, and my book has a screen on the cover because children are being seen by screens more than by people at the moment, and that's a big challenge for 2025. But it was really 30 years of my work, and that happened because of my sister's struggles, which came into my own change and my discovery of neuroplasticity. And it's called Seen because it's not seen and not heard. It's seen meaning see who exactly you have in front of you and not trying to manipulate it into something that you think other people want those people to be, which is many of our journeys, which is another reason for suffering. And I was called Seen by my grandmother, and she rocked me to sleep every night. It's my nickname. And not many people know that's not mentioned in the film. And then my sister, Francesca, who ended up with mental illness, she was never seen by anyone, really. I mean, I tried my best as her elder sister. She was, and it's no one's fault. It's just where she was sandwiched in the lineup, and she ended up getting the label of the clumsy one, the this one, the that one, and that ended up with all sorts of different consequences. And she was really artistic. And I think in our society, she was expected to be more scientific and go to university and follow my pathway or whatever. So she didn't get seen in the same way that I did between 0 and 3. And it's not just 0 and 3, but it's just in life. And at any time, as long as someone sees you, that's a game changer for brain health and fitness. So it's a very deep, profound thing. It's the silver bullet everyone's looking for. But once again, as we said, we don't want to think that love and attention for 5 minutes face-to-face with your child is just what they need for mental wellness. We want to think it's about their healthy lunchbox, it's the house, it's the goods, it's the travel, it's the experiences, and that's what's causing a lot of us to have to work really hard to make all of that happen for our children. And we now live in a very toxic culture that's really elevated that because of social media and people seeing what everyone else is doing and how you should be living your life, when what's actually needed for brain health and fitness is to be seen and loved and have safety and security. And being loved for who you are, not for some kind of performance or who you're going to become. Because a lot of the stress and energy in parenting right now is on, oh my God, they're going to not go to university if they behave like this, or if they're not getting an A, or they're not doing this and that, then we project, decades into the future. They're going to go to jail. Or do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of that happening. It's no one's fault, but I guess that's the kind of take-home message from the film is all our children need is unconditional love and positive regard. And that's hard to do if it has never been done for you. And it helps other people see that it's about the adults. It's not about the children and their behaviour. It's about us and where we've come from. And that we, because of neuroplasticity, have the ability to hold back and do some of these small little things we just discussed on the podcast to change our ability to handle stress and to see the beautiful little tiny people that just need love and support and safety and security, and that's all they want. They don't need a big house. They don't need a big car. They need to be outside playing in nature, and they need to be getting to have some friends and feel like they belong, and that we do need to start rebuilding our village of support, because that's what the children need. They need to be running in community with lots of people caring for them, and that's what the aim of the film is to open this conversation that we don't like to have.
Sounds like a very timely, much needed
message.
They
say it might be episode 5 of Adolescence on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because Netflix really lays it out. It's really, really happening in schools right now. Teachers are dropping because of this, and seen as the kind of journey to go on to if you want to make the changes so that doesn't happen in your family.
Yeah, I hadn't read it's a practical sort of solution to some of the issues raised in adolescence. So yeah, it sounds wonderful, and we look forward to checking that out.
So I would say to people listening, because this is really important if you're a parent, is that you've got to take care of the screens, otherwise the rest is mute right now. It's because all of us are on our screens, and therefore children are not being seen by any adults right now. And the stuff, if you start to now, and I open the Pandora's box for you, sorry about this, but if you start to now really pay attention to community, you'll see this is really prolific. And kids are tugging on people saying, I love you. And you know what I mean? And that's the issue we have to tackle big time fast to help us then deal with all of the other things we discussed on the podcast.
Yeah.
Wow. What a fascinating conversation it's been.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you both.
Amazing.
Thank you for reaching out. It's lovely to meet you. I look forward to hearing about your cerebellum.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted for sure.
Please.
You and me both.
Please come on my podcast. Do you want to come on my podcast and talk about it?
Yeah, I'd be absolutely honoured, of course.
Maybe both of you could come on and share your journey into Glimmer Hunters and your careers.
Amazing. We'd love that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because while it's called Glimmer Hunters, it's coming out of this just desire of like, this can't be it, because it sounds like Glimmer Hunters sounds pretty and lovely, and it is, but realistically it's coming out of never been so stressed, never been so tired, never had to wear so much makeup, just keeping it together. And something's going to break. So we thought we would do this first and then we'll try.
Yeah. I think we're all just so wound up. I think it's that whole like nervous system dysregulation.
What do you think it is? What do you go? I'm interested in your feedback.
For me, I'm stuck in my monkey mind is going a million miles an hour. I didn't realize how damaged I was until I got to here. And so, sorry, it was surprise Jack for my husband 15 years in. And I just learnt to mask very well and look quite normal and come across as quite a normal person. Yeah. I'm very good at it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you get very tired because on top of that, culturally, socially conditioned, in our culture, I had a baby, we work full time, I want it all, we travel, and then we have a mortgage and we're renovating and we're living in a rental house and we've got 2 cars and we live in Paddington and I'm like, and then there's that, and I'm just thinking at the moment about masculine energy, like more, bigger, stronger, harder. And I'm like, I can keep up, because if you don't, then you are weak and then you are nothing. And I've been to the ashram, I meditate, I'm on the balance board, like I'm relentless in my search, and my monkey mind is going at the same time. So I get it, but at the same time, I'm not going to lie, the opposite is true. It's kind of a fun game, because like I said earlier, I don't want to work from home. I don't want it to be too kumbaya. Like sometimes I like it a little bit off center, like I like it a bit derailed. I could get a dopamine hit and things.
Well, it's an addiction to your trauma, isn't it?
Yes, and I feel very comfortable in chaos.
Well, that's because that's what you grew up with, and this is how the brain is a learnt mechanism. We didn't talk about addiction, but that's my kind of expertise. So addiction is medication for stress from early childhood, and that's what we learnt to cope because we were never good enough. So we had to do this to show people that we are better than they ever thought we were. But the thing is, this happened to me, by the way, Renee. I ran a huge lab. I ended up in a really bad divorce in 2013, 14, and I had my dark night years of the soul, and so basically one day it does just collapse,
Yay.
Well, it's true. It's true. It's because but that's just how it works. And anyway, I should let you go, and we'll
for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it so much.
So what was amazing for me about talking to Professor Selena is she's a scientist with a clear lens. And the one thing I've come across that I've really come up against, and I've got quite an anti-authority streak, is that when the faceless medical society or the faceless scientific society come out with these predictions or these tests for us to do, it makes my hackles go up, because I'm, like, not all people are the same. And I'm not saying we can't generalize, like, I understand it. But what was gorgeous about speaking with Professor Selena is that she had this, and I talked about it earlier, like this superpower of seeing what was in front of her, not what she thought she was seeing or had seen before. And that re-inspired my faith in. And I know there's a million great scientists, but that was just another level of reinstalling my faith into so many people doing great work.
And don't you think that idea of like seeing what's in front of you ties into that whole concept of being seen that she was talking about with the movie as well? And having to see our children that are in front of us as well.
100%. Yes. And that's the lots of things that we miss is there are all these micro things, like, when you come in hot, especially if you're in a bad mood or in a temper, you personally, not kidding. You especially.
How do you?
What? Is when, or even actually, even less so, like when you're at the airport and you're watching people and you can see like little kids doing stuff or adults doing stuff that they can't, like no one's really noticing, and that person's not being seen. Equally, what kind of terrifies me is when you see little kids in the car or in the pram and they're on a phone. And I'm like, but they're already sitting in the iPad. Like, I annoyingly say to my daughter who's 11 who wants to use the iPad in the car, I'm like, dude, there are 5 iPads in this car. They're called the windows. Like, they're all changing all the time. You're like, have at it, my friend. So that, like, this stuff is hiding in plain sight in front of her as well. Like she's not even seeing what she can see. And there's nothing nicer than staring at the clouds and daydreaming.
Oh, you just got to. You got to. I'm always getting my kids to come outside, look at the moon with me, and they just think, because I am a crazy moon lady, I'm like, guys, it's here all the time. Like, look at this.
You're right. And 2 months ago, we were 3 months ago, we were in Port Stephens together, and you pointed out there was an enormous moon.
It was huge.
Yes, that was just for you, private show.
Love it.
And no Katy Perry beats.
Thank God. Thank God. But again, tying back to the idea of being seen and not seeing what's in front of us, and again, I think that's what it is about Glimmers as well. We're not seeing these things because we're so caught up in our triggers. We're so caught up in our busy lives and our go schedules. And in that stress response, we're just not seeing some of these tiny things that are available to us as well. And I think that idea of simplicity really sort of stands out for me from that conversation as well, that we don't have to, do the retreat, lovely as the retreats are. No, nothing against those. But, some days it's just as simple as, having a conversation with somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what I thought was really practical and great with what she shared is because we're looking at glimmer hunters and we're using different techniques to do that, like with journaling or noticing, having awareness, that takes like a conscious mind, unless it comes through the body, unless you get like a glimmer, like a warm towel out of the dryer. But if you're trying to look for physical, like mental ones with your brain and your brain's in a state of distress, it's much harder. However, what I loved is the practical advice of if you can do other exercises like balance exercises, breath, panoramic view, that's a physical thing that takes it out of the mind's hands.
Yeah.
And so you have more of a fighting chance. If you can make the brain stronger, it's going to be easier. Yeah. It's not just one path.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why perhaps when you start looking for these things, the more you'll see because, you're building that strength. Yes. In the brain too.
Brain strength.
One of the other things, just one of the practical things you were talking about just then that Professor Selena mentioned, I love the idea of looking at a view when you first wake up in the morning, just looking out the window rather than looking on your phone because it will activate your stress response. I thought that was a really interesting takeaway too, and just a really easy to implement solution as well.
Yeah, and because I've stopped checking my phone as soon as I get out of bed. One, because I'm always waiting to get into trouble. And so I thought my inbox overnight, anything could have happened in there. So I refuse to, and to the point where I don't try and look at emails at all anymore. But in the mornings, I do this thing like that pop culture term, dopamining. So I get up, I run my hands under cold water. I immediately put my Apple Watch on and I jump up and down so I can get that first out, like that one. You got to stand up for 12 hours straight or whatever. So I get that, and so I'm just like, I picture the house like Super Mario Brothers with those little gold coins in the air, and ting, 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 and I'm trying to collect all the dopamine as I go. Yeah. And like shower, cold, ting, ting, ting.
Yeah. I feel like there's also like a little glimmer collection there going on too.
Yeah. So I'm like, you can have that dopamine? I'll take that. Is that a quick to-do? I'll take that.
Away we go.
You're going to finish that check mark? I'll do that. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, interesting. So fascinating.
Amazing.
And just what a career. 30 years of
I know, what
dedication,
the hell have I
hard
been
work.
doing?
I know. Well, not enough. Oh, dear.
Oh, gorgeous. Well, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And for anyone else listening who is new to Glimmers or Glimmer curious or already Glimmer hunters, we hope, and think you'll find something valuable out of this episode.
And goss us, if you've got any kind of techniques that you're using that's working, that you want to share, please reach out. We would love to hear about it.
Likewise, if you liked what you heard today and would like to leave us a review on Spotify, Apple or YouTube, that would be much appreciated. But if you didn't, that's cool too.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.